baby, I'm Chris Keaton, and this is Random Acts. Woo! I am so glad to see you, and isn't that opening great? I'm telling you what, the guys here at Blue Ridge Podcast are really doing me a great service. I just am having a blast here. If you want to have your own podcast, you might want to reach out to them. I can put you in touch with them if you know what I'm saying, because I am the connector. Yes, I am. Thank you. Hey, so in the last episode, I did a little bit of a shout out to John Lovitch, who's one of my favorite comedians. He's the guy who had the tagline, "Get to know me." But he also did the bit where he was a compulsive liar, and he'd go, yeah, that's the ticket. Yeah. But anyway, I digress. What I'm getting to is he gave me the idea to do this little bit called 5 Things I Bet You Didn't Know About Me. So I got 5 more things I'm going to share with you right now. Number 1, I've been playing piano since I was 5 years old. Number 2, I'm a big supporter of local arts. I love theater. I love ballet. I love artists in general. I am a Grammy voting member for over 30 years. Yes, I am. And I've been to the Grammys multiple times, and I have multiple stories about that we'll get into at another time. But there's also a thing called Grammy moments. And I've got a really special Grammy moment. This comes from the very first year that my wife Gina and I went to the Grammys in New York City. Well, this was in 92. And it was so far back that in those days they would block off the street, 6th Avenue. We could walk down one side of the street, and on the other side of the street were all these fans. Of course, I couldn't help myself. I'm like waving to everybody, and they're waving back like, who's that? Who's that guy? So anyway, we get to Radio City Music Hall, and at that point in time, again, everybody came in the same way. There was no red carpet just for artists and a red carpet for the guests. It was for everybody. So we go strolling in. Well, standing in Radio City, this circular the lobby, and I look across, and there is Ricky Skaggs. Well, Ricky Skaggs is this bluegrass guy, but at that time he had a hit song called Country Boy, where it was essentially like bluegrass meets hip hop meets country meets pop. I mean, it was a really, really cool song. But he also was very famous at that point in time for wearing a red suit, which was, it was like a bitchin' red suit. Well, so we're in the lobby there, and I'm looking around, and my wife's looking around, and we're having a big time. And I look across the way, and there's Ricky Skaggs. He's looking right at me, and I go, "Hey, Ricky, how you doing?" And my wife looked at me and says, "Do you know him?" And I said, "No, I don't know him." And I look back over at Ricky, and his wife is looking at him going, "Do you know that guy?" And Ricky goes, "I don't know who the heck he is." But anyway, about 10 years later, I ran into Ricky in Nashville, and I said, "Man, I've got a very special Grammy moment I'd like to tell you about." And we laughed about the red suit, and we laughed about the incident of both of us looking at each other, pretending we knew each other. That's my Grammy moment. Now, speaking of Grammy moments, my guest today is a gentleman that I met at the Grammy nominee party a few years ago, Dave Audé. So stick around and hear what he's got to say.
I just wanna have fun, clap my hands, turn around now and dance, dance, dance. I just wanna have fun, clap my hands, turn around now and dance, dance, dance. I just wanna have fun, clap my hands, turn around now and dance, dance, dance. I just wanna have fun, clap my hands, turn around now and dance, dance, dance. I just wanna have fun, clap my hands, turn around now and dance, dance, dance.
So, speaking of Grammy moments, so my guest today is Dave Audé, and he is a great producer, remixer, but essentially he's an artist. I mean, an incredible artist, and a very cool guy. We actually met at a Grammy nominee party in Nashville a couple of years ago, he and his wife Gretchen, and we got to be really good friends. Well, not really good friends, but I mean, I know him. So anyway, Dave Audé, how are you, babe?
Hey, I'm great. It's a great, it's a beautiful, it's just starting to get a little cold here in Nashville, so it's kind of nice to just not be super hot.
Yeah. Well, speaking of super hot, it was a pleasure meeting your wife Gretchen at the Grammy nominee party too.
Yeah, that my wife is, I tell everybody she's an ex-Dallas Cowboys cheerleader. That might be true, it might not be true,
Yeah.
but that's what I tell people.
Well, listen, I'm in on it. I'm in on it for sure. So tell me, so what do you tell people that you do? Because I mean, to me, you are an artist, but you're all these other things too. Tell me what you tell people that what you do.
I am an artist, but I usually don't tell people I'm an artist. For as long as I can remember, I tell people I'm a producer, which doesn't really tell people what I do. It's just sort of a word because a lot of people don't know what producer is. So,
Right.
but some people think of me as a because I've been DJing for about 30 years. Believe it or not, there's people out there that think of me as a DJ.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who know me as a remixer,
Right.
which is producer, also a producer, but they think of me as remixer. There's people that think of me as a songwriter. There's people that think of me as producer. So I'm all five: artist, songwriter, producer, DJ. Something else? What else? I don't know.
Great
engineer.
dad.
Engineer. I'm a dad. Yes. First and foremost, I'm a dad.
Yeah.
That's the first thing.
Well, and I can back you
So I
up
tell
on that. I
people I'm a
mean,
producer.
yeah, I mean, in the conversations that you and I have had, there are days that you take off because you're coaching a softball team or something, which I think is absolutely fabulous.
Yeah. I mean, there's the reason I'm in the studio so much is to support my family, and I definitely try not to miss any of sporting event. I have three kids, and they're playing as many sports as they possibly can. So I try to get to every sporting event.
Yeah, that is way, way cool, man. Way cool. So,
Yeah.
so tell me about some of the projects that you're working on currently.
Currently, I'm working on a bunch of stuff. I just finished an album for my favorite singer of all time. So I'm really right now. I've been doing this for almost 30 years, 25 years, and my favorite singer is a guy named Andy Bell in a band called Erasure.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And when I was a kid, 19-year-old Dave went to the Palladium on Sunset in LA to see Erasure, not knowing that 20 years, a couple decades later, I'd be producing an album for Andy, the lead singer.
Wow.
And so we've been working on this album for about 2 years. It'll be 2 years when it comes out next year. And it's a full circle moment for me. I'm also touring with Andy right now. I'm live shows, so I'm actually playing with Andy live,
Wow.
which is a dream come true. Because when I was growing up in LA as a kid, I didn't know I was going to be a producer. I didn't know what the word producer even meant. There was no word remixer. Didn't think I was going to be a DJ. Who does?
Yeah.
And I had no idea. I thought I'd be a keyboard player in a band. I thought when I was a kid I was going to be the keyboard player in Journey.
Okay.
Because that's pretty much the only thing I knew of a music person that could play piano
Yeah.
could do. I didn't play guitar and I didn't really sing, so that was pretty much it. What can I do? I can be a keyboard player in a band. So growing up in the San Fernando Valley in LA, that was really the only thing. Either I'm going to be a keyboard player in a band or that's it. I didn't know about all these other things because there was no internet.
Yeah.
They didn't have these things in the Encyclopedia Britannica. And school didn't teach MIDI or engineering or
Right.
anything to do with recording, and my parents aren't in music, so there was nobody really telling me about any of these things I could do growing up. So I had to figure all this out after high school.
So did you learn the MIDI and the production and all that? Did you learn it on your own?
I learned it on my own. My dad got me a synthesizer when I was 13 years old.
A synthesizer?
Yes, a synthesizer. I got a synthesizer when I was 13 years old.
Yeah.
and I got a Roland JX 3P, which is my first keyboard synthesizer, and didn't know how to do anything. And I read the manual, still didn't know what anything meant. VCA, VCF, LFO, attack, release, sustain, none of this stuff. But 13, I had about 5 years between 13 and 18 to sort of figure these things out. Got a drum machine, Roland 626.
Yeah.
Got an amp, got a sequencer because there was no computers. I got a MSQ 100 was my first sequencer, which is, anybody who doesn't know what a sequencer is, it's you basically play notes in or chords in and it plays it back.
Yeah.
Before computers, that's how you kind of sequence stuff. And so I just spent my childhood, some kids played guitar in their bedroom. I was playing keyboards in my bedroom.
Dude, that is so great, and it's so fabulous to hear you talk about sequencers and the and the drum machines and stuff. Because man, I remember that stuff too. I remember cutting tape. Cutting tape to lengths to use for samples because there wasn't even a sampler back then.
Listen, I mean, so I was the kid, and when I graduated high school, I had scholarship offers to Berkeley and Cal Arts, which is a music school owned by Disney in just north of LA. But they had nothing. They had no keyboards, no MIDI, no electronic anything. So that's what I wanted to do. If they would have had that stuff, I probably would have gone to music school.
Yeah.
But instead, I just started working, waitering tables, delivering pizza, working in a bank. And then in the evenings, I would go teach at LA Recording School. I would teach MIDI, and I would teach the first version of Pro Tools, which is called Sound Tools.
Yeah.
Back in '89, to engineering students.
Wow.
But because I was doing it for so long, I sort of pretended like I knew what I was talking about.
Yeah.
And I think I was teaching off of a program called Creator, Notator, made by Steinberg. You're laughing because you remember this.
No,
stuff.
I do. Wasn't there one called Finale or something too?
There was maybe, but that might have been before the stuff I was using. But it was. I had an Apple. Sorry, not an Apple. I had an Atari 1040 ST computer.
Oh yeah.
And I was teaching, using a floppy disk, and teaching this to engineering students. And that's going and teaching the engineering students was how I sort of learned the recording and engineering side, because
Right.
I was in this recording school, and I had no choice other than to learn, about microphones and recording techniques.
Beautiful. So I gotta at least drop one name here though. I know that you did a remix on one of the Beyonce tunes on her country album, right?
Well, I've done about 8 or 9 remixes now for Beyonce.
Come on now, bring it.
And Beyonce really doesn't do remixes anymore because she doesn't need to. I mean, remixing was really something that came around in the early 90s, and record labels realized they could do another version of a song to promote the song.
Yeah.
They didn't necessarily have to get the approval from the artist, but if they got the approval, they would release it. But a lot of times they would just make vinyl and just use it as a promotional tool. And it's now become a big deal, basically another way to promote your song. And especially new artists now hire me because they want to use me and my fan base, or just my 25 years of doing what I do, to help promote their original song.
That's killer. So in addition, you also have your own imprint label, right? Audacious Music.
I do. Audacious Records, because we all love. I grew up playing records, so to me, it's all records.
Yeah, me too.
I still use the records term. I don't. Music's a great term, but I like to use the word records just because it's cool, right?
No, I totally get it, man. Well, listen. Anything else you want to tell me or tell everybody right here?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I could talk all day about stuff. I have some new people I'm working with. Sarah Potenza, who was a voice. She used to be on The Voice.
Yeah.
And she's an artist I met here in Nashville, and I'm really excited about her. I'm doing a disco record for her, so she's like a disco diva, sort of Martha Wash type, 2025 Martha Wash type album.
Sweet.
Bringing disco and the chic, sort of Nile Rodgers chic, Shalimar kind of disco back. Doing that. I just finished a great remix for Lenny Kravitz, song called Human. The video is
yeah.
amazing. I
That's
just
a
did a
great
song, a
song,
remix
too.
for another local artist named Cody Ballou.
Uh-huh.
Cody's got a great new song called Horseshoes and Hand Grenades.
Nice. It's close.
Good title. Good title. And of course, the album for Andy Bell from Erasure. So that's coming out next year. I'm really excited about it.
Dude, that is so great. Well, look, before I let you go, please tell people how they can find you and find out more about you.
You can just find me by the usual ways, which is type my name into Google, Dave Audé. It sounds great, but sometimes it's hard to spell. It's Aude, Dave Audé. Super easy.
Beautiful. Well, man, what a pleasure. Thank you so much for spending a little bit of time with me today. And it's always a pleasure seeing you. And please say hello to Gretchen for me.
I will. Chris, thank you for inspiring my haircut. I appreciate it.
You're so welcome, my brother. God bless you.
Have a great day.
Thank you. Wow, wasn't that a cool interview with Dave? I'm telling you, he really is everything that he says and more. And I got to tell you, honestly, I mentioned the thing about his children. He really does put his wife and his kids first, and I think that's the greatest thing. It's a really good lesson that all of us should learn. So, speaking of that, well, not speaking of that, but again, it is called Random Acts, which means I could go from here to there or do anything I want. I've been thinking about putting this new program together, and I want to tell you about it now. I've been thinking about this thing. There have got to be a ton of people out there who started out playing music, started out writing songs, but in the early 20s kind of had to put everything aside so that they could go make a living. Well, you know, when they get to the point where they're doing pretty well, or maybe to the point where they're almost to retirement, they pick it back up and they want to do something with it. So I'm putting this program together called The Song Inside You. I've even got a sign-up page, a website called thesonginsideyou.com, believe it or not. And it's at www.thesonginsideyou.com. Hey, if you think you might be interested, and if you think you qualify, and what I mean by qualify is this, you're a certain age, you would like to write songs again, you would like the opportunity to get connected with a hit songwriter in Nashville, record your song in Nashville with the greatest players in the world, greatest demo singers in the world, and then come home with a copy of your song the next day. If that sounds like something you'd be interested in, please go to www, or as we say down south, www.thesonginsideyou.com and sign up. And I will reach out to you and I'll let you know, and I will keep you in the loop as we move forward as to how it's going along and when it will be live so that you can sign up and go to Nashville. I think it'll be great. Okay, I got to go one more time back over here. Don't forget, I got the bundle going on Dapper and Confidence on the Fly. And you can get your own hashtag I'm with Chiss t-shirt. I'm telling you, you'll be the hit of the party everywhere you go. I want to thank you one more time for spending a little bit of time with me on my podcast, Random Acts. We're going to keep going, and I'm going to have even better guests and hopefully even better stories, but you never know about that. Hey, I'm Chris Keaton. Thank you. Son of a bitch.